Yo, don't do that. Stop. Oh, crazy.
While we were leaving the incident,
and he was shooting at us. One of the bullets hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly, and I held him because I was trapped there for as long as I could until the cops got there.
They were warned not to come to my home. They were threatening to harm me.
The day before Christmas Eve 2024, this 3-month pregnant woman was stuck in a crashed car, holding the dying body of the man who was supposed to be her baby's father, Keyshawn Stewart. They had just left an apartment after a fight that had been going on for weeks, and they were trying to drive away from it. They never made it far enough. The person who pulled the trigger was someone her partner knew too well.
He's just as much responsible for this as I am. She should have stopped him.
I tried.
No, you didn't.
And what led them all to that moment had been building for months before the first shot was ever fired. The man who fired those shots was 33-year-old Khalid Williams, who had been Keyshawn's partner for 6 years. And what makes this story hit different is how normal everything looked before it all went wrong. To really understand what Khalid Williams was doing standing outside with an AK-47 that day, you have to go back to October 2024, when he and Keyshawn Stewart ended things for good. The two men had been together for roughly 6 years, and it was not a smooth relationship by any stretch. There were a lot of arguments, some of them physical, though no weapons were ever involved, and neither of them ever called the police. People stay in hard relationships all the time, and that part alone is not unusual. What changed everything was the reason the relationship finally ended. Keyshawn had started seeing a woman, and she was pregnant with his baby. When Williams found out that Stewart had not only moved on, but was about to become somebody's father with a woman, something in him broke in a way he clearly was not able to deal with. The relationship was over on paper, but the back and forth never stopped. According to police and court records, the two men kept talking, kept arguing, and kept finding reasons to stay connected through the weeks after the split. And the main excuse they kept using was a car. This is where things get petty in a way that makes the whole tragedy even harder to sit with. Stewart owned the car, but Williams had been paying for it. After the breakup, that car became the reason they kept calling each other, kept fighting, and kept pulling each other back into a situation that should have been done. But the car was never really the issue. The issue was that Khalid Williams had lost Keyshawn to someone else, and he was not ready to accept that the story was over. On the morning of December 23rd, Stewart and Williams were on the phone arguing about that same car. The call got so heated that Keyshawn and his pregnant girlfriend decided to drive over to Williams' apartment near 17th Avenue in Maryland to handle it in person. That decision, made in a moment of frustration, ended up being the last one Keyshawn ever made. When they got there, the argument between the two men got physical fast. At some point while that fight was going on, Khalid Williams went inside and came back out with a rifle. When Stewart and the woman got back in the car and tried to leave, Williams walked out after them and started shooting.
As Stewart and the woman drove away, police say Williams fired more than 25 rounds from a rifle, killing Stewart. The woman spoke about it in court.
Not one shot or a warning in the air, but over 25 bullets fired into a car that was already moving away from him. One of those bullets hit Keyshawn Stewart in the back of the head. The car crashed, and his pregnant girlfriend was trapped inside with him, his body landing on top of her belly 3 months into her pregnancy.
while we were leaving the incident,
And he was shooting at us. One of the bullets hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly, and I held him because I was trapped there for as long as I could until the cops got there.
Keyshawn Stewart was rushed to a hospital and did not make it, and Khalid Williams did not stay to face what he had done. After the shooting, Khalid Williams did not turn himself in. He was on the run, and Phoenix police spent 3 days tracking him down. While he was hiding, he was doing something that detectives would later bring up in court, which was going online and searching for news about the shooting. He wanted to know what people were saying, and more than that, he wanted to know if Keyshawn had survived. On December 26, 2024, 3 days after the shooting, police found Williams' car sitting outside a Mexican food restaurant and took him into custody right there. He was booked into the Maricopa County Jail the same day. When detectives eventually sat Williams down and interviewed him, they told him that Stewart was gone. He said he didn't deserve that. He also told them, "The only thing I could do was accept responsibility and pray for forgiveness." Those are not the words of someone who was confused about what happened. That is somebody who understood exactly what he did and who spent 3 days on the run knowing it. The charges he faced were heavy: first-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault, and illegal possession of a firearm.
The deadly shooting and a man behind bars the day before Christmas.
Yeah, police say a Phoenix man opened fire on a car with his ex-boyfriend inside and that man's pregnant girlfriend. The father of her unborn baby was killed. Officers booked 33-year-old Khalid Williams on 4 felony counts, including first-degree murder. Police say he and 35-year-old Keyshawn Stewart broke up in October, and on Monday, investigators say Williams and his ex were arguing over the phone about a car. Police say Stewart and his now girlfriend went to Williams' apartment near 19th Avenue in Maryland, where the men got into a fight. As Stewart and the woman drove away, police say Williams fired more than 25 rounds from a rifle, killing Stewart.
That last charge matters a lot here because Williams had 6 previous felony convictions on his record, which means under Arizona law, he was not allowed to own or even touch a gun at all. None of those 6 prior convictions were for violent crimes, but the judge at his first court appearance still felt the need to say something about that number out loud. The judge set his bond at $1 million.
Now, that first court appearance on December 27th is where things got really telling, because Khalid Williams simply could not keep quiet. The judge warned him multiple times to say nothing, pointing out that any lawyer in the room would be telling him to shut his mouth. Williams did not listen.
I suggest that you not make any statements. If your attorney was here, he'd tell you just to shut up.
But there's a lot to explain in this case. One of the victims admitting to police it all started because of a love triangle.
They were warned not to come to my home. They were threatening to harm me. She's just as much responsible for this as I am.
Police say the murder victim, Keyshawn Stewart, dated Williams for 6 years, but the two men broke up in October. Yet the fighting continued and now involved a woman who claimed to be 3 months pregnant with Stewart's baby. According to court documents, the day before Christmas Eve, Stewart and his pregnant girlfriend drove to Williams's home on North 17th Avenue and were greeted by the 33-year-old holding an AK-47.
While we were leaving the incident and he was shooting at us, one of the bullets hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly, and I held him because I was trapped there for as long as I could until the cops got there. I wake up screaming every night. My son will never know his father.
Police say Williams ran from the scene, and it took 3 days to hunt him down. Officers finding his car at a Mexican food restaurant where he was arrested.
Mr. Williams has a criminal history with 6 prior felonies, although none of them are crimes of violence. That is a significant number of prior felony convictions.
Police say the shooting was caught on surveillance video, and while Williams claimed he accidentally fired the shot, 25 casings were found on the scene. When interviewed, officers say he showed no remorse. Williams faces 4 felonies, including premeditated murder in the first degree. His bond is set at $1 million.
He stood there and claimed self-defense. He told the court that Stewart and his girlfriend had come to his home to threaten him, that he had warned them to stay away, and that what happened was just as much their fault as his. And then he turned it directly on the girlfriend. He said she should have stopped Keyshawn from coming over and that she carries the same amount of blame for what he did. And that tells you everything about where his head was at.
They were warned not to come to my home. They were threatening to harm me. She's just as much responsible for this as I am. She should have stopped him.
I tried.
No, you didn't.
In his mind, because he felt disrespected, because he felt replaced, because he felt like things were unfair, all of that justified what he did on that street. He turned his own feelings into permission. But the cameras outside that apartment building did not care about his feelings. The whole thing was caught on surveillance video, and when investigators showed Williams that footage during questioning, he did not deny a single frame of it. He just watched it and said he didn't deserve that. Officers also said that during the interview, Williams showed no real remorse, and that whatever he said about Keyshawn not deserving it did not line up with how he actually carried himself when they were asking the questions.
Police report states Khalid told officers he didn't know what made him do it, other than the stress and drama of their relationship, and that the only thing he could do was accept responsibility and pray for forgiveness.
25 shell casings on the ground, and the story he is going with is that the gun went off by accident. He is in there trying to tell a judge that he accidentally fired 25 rounds at a moving car.
As Stewart and the girl were leaving, Khalid claims he accidentally fired his weapon.
I was in the incident when it happened. I was there.
And while he was doing that, the pregnant girlfriend was in that same courtroom giving her testimony about what it was actually like to be in that car when he did it.
You in the vehicle
Yes, sir, I was.
that was shot at?
I'm also 3 months pregnant with his child.
With somebody's child.
Asking Williams receive no bond.
While we were leaving and he was shooting at us, one of the bullets hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly, and I held him. I wake up screaming every night. My son will never know his father.
About holding Keyshawn in that wreckage, being unable to move, not knowing if her baby was okay, with the man she loved losing his life right there against her belly. She also had to sit there and listen to Williams blame her, and she had a response for that.
She should have stopped him.
I tried.
No, you didn't.
In the middle of a murder hearing, with her boyfriend dead and her son still growing inside her, this man is sitting there arguing with her about whether she did enough to stop him from pulling the trigger. That level of nerve tells you a lot about who you are dealing with.
The way this story got told in the news, Keyshawn Stewart was mostly just a name that showed up in a crime report. The coverage came fast. Everyone ran with the love triangle angle, and then the story disappeared the way most of these stories do once the initial arrest happens. But Keyshawn was a 35-year-old man with a real life ahead of him. He was about to become a father. People who knew him described him as someone who was full of life and joy, who found the good in situations and in the people around him. That is not a lot of detail for someone whose death carries this much weight, but it is real. And it is the part that gets buried under all the legal back and forth. The girlfriend never had her name put out publicly, and that was done to protect her, which makes complete sense given everything she went through. She was a witness in a violent case. She was pregnant, and she had just watched her boyfriend get shot in the head while she was sitting right next to him.
While we were leaving and he was shooting at us, one of the bullets hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly.
Arizona law protects the identities of witnesses in situations like this, and as of today, nothing has come out that identifies her publicly. What we do have is what she said in court, and those few words said more about who she is and what she went through than any news article ever could. Now, let us get into the self-defense claim, because it genuinely does not hold up when you look at it closely. Under Arizona law, self-defense only works when you can show that you had a real, immediate reason to believe you were about to be seriously hurt. The word immediate is doing a lot of work in that definition. There is a serious problem with claiming self-defense when the people you say threatened you are already inside a car and pulling away from your home, and you are out on the street firing over 25 rounds into the back of that vehicle. That is not you defending yourself. That is you chasing a situation that was already over. The case prosecutors are building centers on the idea that this was planned, not accidental. The type of weapon he grabbed, the number of shots he fired, the fact that he went inside specifically to get a rifle instead of just letting them leave, and then everything he did afterward, running from the scene, searching the internet to see if Keyshawn made it, and making statements that show he knew exactly how bad the situation was. All of that together paints a picture of someone who made a deliberate choice, not someone who panicked in the moment.
Williams also had 6 prior felony convictions, which, under Arizona law, already made it illegal for him to have any kind of firearm.
Mr. Williams has a criminal history with 6 prior felonies, although none of them are crimes of violence. That is a significant number of prior felony convictions.
Police say the was caught on surveillance video, and while Williams claimed he accidentally fired the 25 casings were found on the scene. When interviewed, officers say he showed no remorse. Williams faces 4 felonies, including premeditated murder in the first degree. His bond is set at $1 million.
So not only did he shoot Keyshawn with an AK-47, but that AK-47 was not even legally his to have in the first place.
That adds a separate charge on top of the murder charge, and it also raises a bigger question about how someone with 6 felony convictions still ends up with a military-style rifle sitting in their apartment. That question matters far beyond just this one case.
Mr. Williams was allegedly in possession of this AK-47 style rifle, although he is a prohibited possessor.
The police report states Khalid told officers he didn't know what made him do it, other than the stress and drama of their relationship, and that the only thing he could do was accept responsibility and pray for forgiveness.
She should be in jail too as well.
Well, talk to your attorney.
He also spoke at the hearing Friday despite the judge telling him to stay silent.
They were warned not to come to my home. They were threatening to harm me. She's just as much responsible for this as I am. She should have stopped him.
I tried.
No, you didn't.
As of today, the case is still sitting in the pre-trial stage at the Maricopa County Superior Court. No trial date has been set publicly, no plea deal has been announced, and no verdict has come down yet. First-degree murder cases in Arizona usually take somewhere between 12 and 24 months from the arrest to a resolution, and that timeline gets even longer when there is video evidence, multiple charges, and ballistics involved. Williams is still being held on $1 million bond, and if he is convicted on the murder charge, he is looking at the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison.
Police report Khalid told authorities he and Stewart had been in a long-term relationship, but recently split after Stewart began seeing someone else and possibly getting the woman pregnant. The two came to speak with Khalid at his apartment when the fight began.
There is something that stays with you when you really sit with this whole situation. Keyshawn and Khalid had 6 years together, and that is a long time with somebody. A breakup after 6 years genuinely hurts, and watching the person you shared that time with move on, start fresh, and get ready to have a kid with someone else while you are still trying to process the loss, that pain is real, and nobody is dismissing it. But pain does not explain what happened on that street.
For years, renowned author J.L. King suffered in silence.
The day I did the Oprah show, he was in the audience. And he sat there, he looked at me the entire time like, come on.
As he introduced the world to the subculture of the down low, he says his boyfriend was beating him up.
One night he came home and he was upset because of something I had done or said, and he took a baseball bat and hit me across the head with it.
King says his abusive partner threatened to kill him.
And I didn't say anything for years. This is the first time I really had talked about it.
It's after he heard Dunwoody teacher Roy McClendon Thompson allegedly shot and his boyfriend, James Curtis Jones.
Well, Ron, so much to unpack here with this story. So 2 days before the murder, the teacher's lover called police to say he was threatening him. Elwin Lopez picks it up from here with a timeline of events because there's so much to follow here with this one.
Yeah, there is. Now, they met about a year ago on an online dating app, and they were on and off. But if that doesn't seem complicated enough, then watch this.
It was around 5:40 a.m. on Monday. Police get several 911 calls about gun and screaming at an apartment complex across Perimeter Mall. When police arrive, they find 45-year-old James Curtis Jones dead from a gun inside a parking garage. That's when the manhunt for the shooter begins. Several hours later, around noon, police say they identified the gunman as 45-year-old Roy McClendon Thompson, a McNair High School teacher. But when they went to find him, he sped away in a Cadillac, leading police on a hot pursuit. DeKalb police chased him into Clayton County, where he crashed into a dump truck and died at the scene. But 2 days before the murder, on Saturday at 2:18 a.m., James Jones called Dunwoody police to tell them he got threatening text messages from McClendon. Jones then showed those text messages to the officer, who didn't believe they were threatening. But there was more. The text showed Jones sent nude pictures of himself to another man. The officer writes in the report that McClendon caught Jones cheating on him. According to the police report, Jones then tells the officer that McClendon was, quote, mental, and that he was scared.
Keyshawn Stewart's name is now on the National Gun Violence Memorial, one of hundreds of people added to that list in December of 2024. His son, the baby his girlfriend was carrying when she held him in that crashed car, will grow up never knowing who his father was. And Khalid Williams is sitting somewhere waiting for a trial that is going to decide whether he ever walks free again. What do you think about this case? Do you think Khalid's girlfriend should have stopped him from going over to Keyshawn's? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.